Okay, so today's video is while the sun's still out. Unlike last night's video. Yesterday was just so crazy. So my aunt went to the DMV today and she found out why I was having issues with registering the car online. Apparently, when he lied to me and he failed to do the inspection or get the sticker replaced on my car, it caused the DMV to lock the car to where it couldn't be re-registered. So I have a phone number that I have to call in order to let them know that the vehicle has been inspected, and I don't know what type of documentation that they're going to require, but I have the documentation to prove that it's been inspected, and I'll get it unlocked, and then once I get it unlocked, she'll be able to get the tags renewed and get a sticker for them, and then she'll send them to me so I can be able to put them on the car. And I have to get all of this done like at 5 o'clock in the morning because the East Coast is now 3 hours ahead of the West Coast. And oh my gosh, there's like a hummingbird right out my window, and I can't show you guys because this might cause somebody to be able to see my neighbor's house numbers, and I don't want that. So anyways, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning in order to be able to make the phone calls that I need in order to make sure that everything gets taken care of tomorrow. And I'm gonna have to get my own insurance because my aunt informed me that she has a fax machine, and if I can get to the Nissan place, which is the type of car that I do drive a Nissan, but if I can get to the Nissan place, then she can be able to do whatever is needed, get faxes and send them and give and receive them, and she can be able to sign the necessary paperwork. And I have to get all of that done tomorrow. The police officer in charge of the investigation for the abuse that I and my oldest daughter has suffered contacted me and said that they want her to talk to a forensic investigator, one that's specially trained to speak with children, and they also want the other two to talk to the forensic investigator as well, just to make sure that all the bases are covered. So I have to take all 3 of the kids up there, and I haven't gotten my keys back yet. I'll have to call my aunt after I get done recording this and find out when that is going to be happening and how I'm going to be able to get that to happen. But I haven't gotten my keys back yet, so I told her that if I don't get my keys back before 10 o'clock tomorrow, I am going to have to contact the investigator, who said that he can be able to arrange for transportation for me and the children to get there. Because even though it's like a 15-20 minute drive from my house, it's with 3 kids walking, it's still going to take about an hour to get there, and I still have so much stuff that I have to do before then. So I'm assuming that my aunt has his phone number because she's been able to call him, which means that either he was able to retain his phone number, which I doubt it because his device was recorded as stolen, but he was either able to retain his cell phone number, or he was able to save her information to his Google account, and then he got a new phone and just ported over the information to his new phone. which would make more sense. But her and I had a really long conversation yesterday, and I know I touched base on it yesterday. And I still have to get the lock on the mailbox changed, and I'm going to have to get the keys to the house changed. Which is a whole nother situation. It's probably going to cost me quite a big chunk of change. And luckily, I get paid tomorrow. And I've already called my work and I've already gotten that done. But even though I've been approved for intermittent family FMLA leave or whatever, I still have to make sure that I call the necessary individuals and make appointments for my children to see a therapist. My oldest daughter, obviously, and then my son, because I have noticed that he has had some anger issues and he needs to work through those. My youngest daughter doesn't really seem to have any issues, so I'm grateful for that. I am a recovering cigarette addict, so you guys may hear me vape, or you may see my vape plume as it goes past the window. This stuff really stresses me out, and I really wish I could go back to smoking, but I don't think my lungs would be able to handle the heaviness of cigarette smoke. And my bank account, sure enough, couldn't handle it. But I'm going to do what I can to make sure that everything is taken care of and my children get the help that they need. And I know a lot of people tell me that I need to go through therapy myself. But my therapy is more along the lines of, you know, I write about it and I just soldier on, I guess you could say. But like I said, no signs of the keys, and it is 6:48, which means that he's been off of work for about 7 hours, or not 7 hours, 4 hours now, which should be more than enough time for him to have gone to the police department and dropped off the keys and asked for someone to reach out to me so that I could be able to arrange for the keys to be, you know, given to me or something, because there's no way I can be able to do the stuff that I need to do tomorrow without transportation. And I know everybody's like, well, why Amanda? Why don't you call it Uber? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, you know, I mean, I could do that, but I don't like being reliant on someone else's time frames. And I've already got enough stuff that I have to pay out that I don't want to have to continue to pay out even more stuff. I get $1,200 a paycheck, and $300 of it is going to have to go towards getting the car fixed, or getting the car tax fixed, which means I'm going to only have $900 to pay my bills that are going to be due next week, and I need to go ahead and get those paid. And put some money on the side for the water and trash pickup because that gets billed separately. Even though it's part of my rent, it gets billed separately, and I have to put the money to the side for that so I can be able to pay that. And then my next paycheck, all of it's going to have to go towards rent, which means I'm going to also have to make sure that I set enough aside for gas and vapes and food for the next month, because I'm not going to have a paycheck next payday. All of that is going to have to go towards the rent. So there's that, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get my new credit cards in, because if I can get my new credit cards in, then I can use that to kind of help pay some of the bills, and that way I have more money to go towards rent, and get that taken care of and squared away. Yeah, see, vape cloud. But, my children have been really super today. Just, minor skirmishes here and there. My girls cleaned up the kitchen and, swept and mopped afterwards. Washed the dishes and made sure they were dried and put away. I'm really proud of them for that. And, they've been doing really, really great, and I couldn't be a more proud mama. It was kind of funny because we were talking. I'll move hands over here. You guys get to see the back end of my car for a brief couple of frames. We were talking, and I was like, okay, so what do you guys want for supper? And, what are your thoughts about, like, hot dogs? And the two older ones were like, yeah. And then my youngest was like, oh, hell yes, please. I want hot dogs. Can we have them fried? I miss having fried hot dogs. I love fried hot dogs. And I was like, yeah, sure, we could have them fried, no problem. And she was like, I've not had fried hot dogs in a long time. And I was like, well, that's because Dave doesn't like his hot dogs fried. He likes them boiled. And she goes, well, he's just crazy because fried hot dogs are bomb. And I was just like, could not stop laughing. And I wasn't laughing at her, I was just laughing at how cute it was. That, she's sitting there and she's trying out different variations of, patterns of speech, and she's trying to figure out who she is and who she wants to be. And, I couldn't be a more proud mom that my kids know that they're in a safe place and they're not going to be condemned for expressing themselves in however manner that they want to express themselves. And I'm just really grateful that even though Dave's new girlfriend said that I was neglectful of the kids and I was a horrible mom and that I didn't deserve the kids, so far from what I've seen of their behavior, it doesn't look like I've done any lasting damage to them. It looks like, they're going to be amazing individuals when they grow up and they become, their own people. And there's a lot of things that people, especially parents, worry about in regards to their children. Did I do this right? Did I say that right? Did I make sure I was supportive? Did I make sure that I did everything that I could to make sure that my kids knew that they were loved and that they were always safe and protected? And there's a lot of doubt when you go into being a parent that you go through, and you don't realize until much, much later in life whether or not you were successful. And I would say that from what I've observed so far, I have been extremely successful. My kids are independent, but they know that if they need that little bit of extra, They can come to me, and they're not afraid to speak out when they see something's wrong. They're not afraid to speak their mind. They're still, the same loving kids that they've always been. My 14-year-old woke up this morning and she came into the room with me and she laid down and she cuddled with me, and then my son got up and they decided to dogpile me, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And then they got up and they cuddled with me for a little bit, and then those two went to go eat breakfast, and then my 9-year-old finally comes sauntering in like the queen she is, and she just comes in and she's just laying down beside me and trying to go back to sleep, and I'm like, no, you need to go eat breakfast, you need to get started on your schoolwork, and we can cuddle for a few minutes, but you got stuff to do, you gotta get busy. And they've been busy all day long. They did their 2 recesses like they're supposed to, and there's no way for me to prop my phone up. My neck is hurting. The angle that I have to do in order to be able to keep you guys from seeing any of my neighbors identifying landmarks or whatever is basically I have to lay on my stomach across my bed, because I'm sure you guys are, tired of staring at white walls, and trust me, I'm tired of staring at white walls, and I don't want you guys to have to stare at white walls when, we've got all this lovely scenery that I can't show you because the houses, but you can at least see my window ledge and the road and my now empty driveway because, the 2 troublemakers are gone. Still working on the 3rd one. I told the officer today that I am concerned because his friend is still here, and his friend has ways of contacting him over the internet, obviously, because I cut off his friend's phone. His friend was on the same plan as we were, and I cut off his friend's phone. But he still has, internet capabilities, and he's got the ability to, message him on Facebook or send him an email. He's still able to use the phone as long as he uses it on Wi-Fi. He can't make any phone calls or text messages unless he connects to the Wi-Fi and maybe downloads an app or something, and I wouldn't put it past him to do that. He used to work for Verizon, and he claims that he knows, all of the ins and outs of how to, control his phone, basically. So I have no doubt that he has used the Wi-Fi to download an app or something that would allow him to call or text Dave. But I told the officer that my main concern is, when I go back to work on Monday, what's going to happen if she shows up? What if he sends a text message and says, hey, Amanda's gone to work, tell her that, tell Lorna that, she can come up to the house and get y'all stuff. Or you guys can come with a moving truck and start moving furniture out while Amanda's at work, or, what have you. And then my kids are here with no way of being able to call 911. And he's not going to call 911 because he's firmly in their camp. And he thinks that it's wrong of me to have taken the restraining orders out and spoken up about the abuse. He doesn't believe that the abuse went on. He thinks that I'm making it up. But it's like, okay, I'm vindictive and petty when I need to be. But if I was that vindictive and petty that I would do something like that, then that would mean that I am vindictive and petty enough to change the internet password so that you can't go to work. And I'm not that vindictive and petty. I would not put someone's life or job at risk or in jeopardy just because I am angry and hurt or upset or anything like that. And whoa, it focused on the screen instead of the ledge. Let's move that there. There we go. Sorry about that. So, I mean, I freely admit, like any individual, I can be petty and I can be vindictive and I can be a really big pain in the ass. But I'm not vindictive and petty enough that I would cause anyone to lose their job. I would not make up anything that would cause someone to lose their job. I would tell the truth, and if that truth happens to make you lose your job, then I'm so sorry. Maybe you're in the wrong line of business. Maybe you need to find a different career path, one that's not going to be so easily affected by your actions. But that's my thoughts on it. Trying to make sure that all the vape stuff goes outside, and doesn't linger inside the house. And trying to keep house numbers and stuff from being seen. I am going in license plates because, that's a vehicle. Those are vehicles over there. Trying to be respectful of my neighbors and their personal information and making sure that nothing of theirs is being seen while I'm out, I'm up here, like, basically giving my life story. I wish people could see things the way I see them. My son said something today that kind of made me have to correct him a little bit, because what he said is how the rest of the world seems to think, and that's not how I want him to think. And okay, so here's the thing. My 9-year-old is not very tall, and the desserts are kept on top of the fridge so that way the kids can't easily access them. And so she got a step stool. Excuse me. She got a step stool in order to be able to get the desserts down because everybody had gotten done eating. And they were all wanting to have dessert, and since they've been doing really good, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, you guys can have desserts. So she got the step stool, but she didn't put the step stool back up. And my son tripped over it. And I was like, well, son, instead of fussing at her for not putting the step stool up, why don't you just put it up yourself? And he said, well, I'm not the one who got it down, so why should I have to be the one who put it up? And it was like a bit of a slap to the face, because while I know that a lot of people think that way, I don't want my children to think that way. So I told him, I was like, that's what's wrong with the world today. People look at what's going on and they see the messes that other people are making, and instead of trying to fix the issue and trying to help make the world a better place, they're looking at all these messes and they're saying, you know what, this is not my problem, not my circus, not my monkeys, I'm not going to do it. If they want to make the world a worse place, then that's on them, and I'm just going to stay over here in my little bubble and I'm not going to do anything. And I told him, I was like, son, we can't live our lives with that mentality. We have to be the ones who say this is wrong. This should not be occurring. And we have to be the ones to try to fix the world to make it into a better place. Because if we're not trying to fix the problem, then we become part of the problem. And that's what I want my kids to be. That's how I see myself as. Yeah, things are fucked up. And things happened that shouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, I got myself back. And while it was late, it was better than never. I could have easily been one of those people who used to be self-confident and used to be outgoing and used to be all these great and amazing things, and I never got that back. Because the abuse and the and I'm not talking about just physical abuse, I'm talking about the emotional and the mental abuse. It could have kept going and kept going and kept going to the point where I would be shattered into a million pieces with no way of being able to pick myself back up. And it could have driven me to another suicide attempt. And it could have driven me to the point where, you know, my 14-year-old daughter winds up pregnant because I was so far down under, I wasn't even on the ground. I was like under the sewage, you know, lower than pond scum, not even in part of society. And it could have gotten to the point where, you know, she didn't have any love for my kids. And she flat out told me that she would be more than happy to let him have sex with whoever he wanted to, no matter who the individual was. Which means that if he wanted to have sex with my daughter, she wouldn't stop him. And I was to the point where I was scared that he would cause me harm and cause me to not be able to be part of my kids' lives and cause me to not be able to protect them if something did happen. And that's just, that was my fear. And I'm glad that I found myself again. And I'm glad that I found my wings. And I found my voice. And I'm glad I was able to repair myself to the point where even though I'm injured, even though I'm broken, I'm piecing myself back together. And I really hope that I come out stronger. But I promised you guys that this wasn't going to be as long as it's been the past couple of days. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to call my aunt. I'm going to find out what's going on and find out if she's been able to get him to give me my keys back so that I can be able to do what I got to do tomorrow. So I'm going to get off here and I'm going to talk to you guys later. And thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I dropped the phone. So sorry. Okay, bye guys.